Hello and welcome to our mini training on RPE, rate of perceived exertion. This mini training is going to help you so much in your workouts for honestly forever. That is the point of this training. So in this training, you're going to understand the proper training intensity to get results and how to auto-regulate your sessions so you can be consistent long term. So if you haven't heard of RPE before, it stands for rate of perceived exertion, and it exists on a continuum. So we've got a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 is very light activity, meaning your rate of how you perceive your exertion, right? How hard it is hardly anything. You're not sleeping, you're not watching TV, but it's really easy, okay? 2 to 3 is light activity, something that you could really do for hours, right? You can maintain a conversation easily enough. It's easy to breathe. It's pretty light work. Then we've got 4 to 6. So this is moderate activity. You might be breathing heavily. You can hold a short conversation. You're comfortable, but you are noticeably challenged. Okay, so that's that 4 to 6 range. 7 to 8 is vigorous activity. So you're actually borderline uncomfortable. You're short of breath. You can speak a sentence, but you're not going to be having full-on yarns, right? 9 is very hard activity. So it's going to be very difficult to maintain this intensity. You can probably barely breathe and you can only speak a few words. And then 10, right at the top, we've got max effort. So this is almost impossible to keep up. You're completely out of breath, you can't speak, and you couldn't maintain this for more than a very short period of time. Okay, so this rate of perceived exertion scale is a helpful tool for understanding the intensity, the exertion that you're giving to your training. So why this is helpful is because it helps you to subjectively measure the intensity of your workout. Okay, it is very subjective. It is based on how you feel on the day. And that is valuable because every day is different. So gauging your effort level during training and being able to listen to your body and understand how much intensity you're giving out is really helpful for meeting yourself where you're at. And as you'll learn, actually adjusting your training to that perceived level of exertion. Okay. So for example, you might feel really strong on a day. And that means if your, say, prescribed RPE was an 8 for squats, you come in, you're feeling really strong. Well, you might actually up the weight compared to last week because 8 feels like you'd need to go heavier, right? Or vice versa. You might have an off day. You might have slept terribly. You might be, somewhere in your menstrual cycle. That means you're not as energized and you're not as strong. So you can actually decrease the load, but it's still going to feel like an 8 RPE. Okay, so using RPE is a way to match your load to where you're at on the day subjectively and how you're feeling. Okay, so RPE is going to help you to adjust the intensity of your workout based on how you're feeling. It's also going to help you actually avoid overtraining and undertraining. Both can lead to suboptimal results, right? If you're overtraining, chances are you're going to get injured, right? You might really tax your nervous system and you're going to feel really shattered. Or undertraining, especially if you are chronically undertraining, you're not going to see the results you want because the intensity simply isn't there, okay? And third, using RPE can help you to monitor your progress and track improvements over time. So anytime you feel like a certain weight or a certain exercise is starting to feel easier, that is a great sign that you're making progress. It means the RPE for that weight or that movement is now lower. And so in order to keep seeing results, you need to up that weight or somehow make that exercise more difficult to match the RPE that generates results. All right. Now I want to talk to you about auto-regulation because this is where you really step into your power in your training and how you can embrace every training session and feel really positive coming out of it. So auto-regulation basically means you are regulating your training. Okay. It's just a practice of basically adjusting your training load based on your readiness and your performance on that given day. So every session is going to be different. Every day you are going to feel different, right? And if you use RPE, you can actually auto-regulate your training so that you're always working at the appropriate intensity, right? What might feel, again, like an 8 RPE one day might actually feel like a 10 RPE another day. So we can auto-regulate and adjust our training in that way. So this is a really good example, right? Let's say that I have programmed for you 5 reps of squats and I want you hitting a 7 RPE. So it should feel pretty hard, but it's not max effort. You can definitely, churn out a sentence. If I ask you, how's that feeling? You might be able to say like, yeah, it's good, right? It's difficult, but it's doable. But you actually notice on this day of 5 squats that your RPE is higher than expected. So the same weight that you lifted last week feels a lot heavier, feels a lot harder. You can actually adjust the weight and bring it down to an RPE 7, okay? Or if you're feeling really strong, again, it might be that you need to up the weight to hit that range. But usually we want to be hitting around a 7 or an 8 if we're talking about building muscle, really sculpting our body, toning up. About a 7 or an 8 is that RPE range that we want to be, really sitting in. So the benefits of auto-regulation, we've kind of touched on this already, right? You're not going to be overtraining. You're going to be so much more connected to your body because you can adjust the workload based on how you feel. It's going to allow for better recovery and adaptation. You're going to see the results you want because you're going to be hitting that target RPE that is going to generate the results. And most importantly, it's going to help you be consistent, right? Even on off days. Because now you've got a tool to walk into the gym, and even if it is an off day, you can actually adjust your training so that it feels like it's not this way or the highway. It is your intensity based on that day. Okay. So when we talk about implementing auto-regulation with RPE, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to figure it out, right? And it takes time. It's a practice. So you're going to establish your target RPE. Now, as your coach, I will have pre-programmed those for you, right? Usually it's going to be a 7 or an 8 for big compound lifts, maybe an 8 or 9 for isolation exercises, a little bit more difficult, right? Now, during your workout, I want you to pay attention to your rate of perceived exertion on each set. So think at the end of each set, where would you put that on a scale of 1 to 10? All right. And if your RPE is higher than your target range, reduce the weight, reduce the reps, right, for that next set. If it's lower, increase the weight, increase the reps, make it harder so you can match that level of exertion. And always adjust. Listening to your RPE, really connecting with how hard you're actually working, making sure you're not overshooting and making sure you're not ripping yourself off by taking it way too easy on yourself. It's going to really help you feel in control of your programming. Now, I do just want to leave you with one little piece of encouragement, and that is that this is a skill, all right? RPE is just like lifting weights. It's a skill. It's a practice. And in the beginning, you likely will undershoot and overshoot your RPE. You're not going to know what feels really hard and what feels really easy until you start actually tuning in to what feels really hard and what feels really easy. It can be difficult to be honest with yourself, but ask yourself immediately after completing a set and then rate it, give it a number. And that practice in itself is going to help you to be more honest. It's going to help you to understand your level of intensity so much better. And the more you do it, the better you will be at doing it, like most things, right? So hopefully this is helpful and gives you some empowerment going into your next training session. It helps you understand what those 3 little letters actually mean. And good training. Go hard. Stick to your RPE, use auto-regulation, and feel free in the comments of your workout after every set, feel free to drop that number in and go, oh, I actually think this is how it felt. And that as a practice can help you become better at using it.